The longer you're here, the further the criminal goes with my bracelet. But by all means, fire away. Is one bracelet not enough? I have checked everywhere. You can ask Elizabeth if you don't believe me. It is only my bracelet that is missing.
As I have stated, it is my duty to speak with every member of the house, and I would not want to have discovered a further missing piece later.
How should I know? I returned to the room and father was face down on the floor. It must have been...
So it is your father that is the subject.
Isn't he handsome? I remember watching him sit for it. He kept looking across and smiling at me. The artist was getting awfully angry at him. Maman never wants to talk about him. She says it's too hard, but she acts more like she doesn't even care he's gone.
I'm sure that is not the case. It must have been very hard for her, for you both.
I miss him every day. He always knew how to put a smile on my face. I remember how much fun we would have, all three of us. In the summer, father and I would play hide and seek while Maman read. She always helped me though whenever it was his turn to hide. I would stand in the gazebo, cover my eyes and count, and when I turned, he was nowhere to be seen. Maman would lower her book and flash a look towards his hiding spot. After I found him, he clapped and cheered as though I had won a gold medal. When I was hiding, it didn't matter where I was. He could never find me. I always thought I was an expert hider, but when I think back now, I know he was letting me win. He always said my smile was prize enough for him. He always knew just what to say.
I am sure he would want you to be smiling today, even under such circumstances. You have been of great help to my investigation, mademoiselle. I will do everything I can to find the culprit and return your bracelet. Aha.
Really, officer?
Merci, madame. Mademoiselle Elizabeth, I hope you are feeling less distressed now. I can assure you I shall find the guilty party.
Thank you, officer. Yes. All I want is for...
Bien sûr. Rest assured she will get the fair trial she deserves. I wonder if you could help me with some...
Of course. Whatever I can do. When I left, Madame was with Fleurette in there. Surely she would not have locked her in. It must have been an accident.
Madame Vandenbosch should not be deciding her fate. Would you grant me access to speak with her?
I would, sir, but I don't have the key. There is a spare somewhere, though. Oh, how awful, the thought of her locked in there.
Do you have any thoughts as to where I may...
I'm sorry. Madame does not trust the staff with such knowledge, even me. Although I did overhear her once say it was hidden somewhere, close to her heart. Whatever that... Now I think of it, I don't recall seeing her memento tin. She holds her keepsakes from her father and other gifts or tokens in it. She has such a wonderful collection. She's very lucky. She normally keeps it close, but I didn't see it this morning.
Merci, mademoiselle. Your assistance has been invaluable. Come, my little grey cells. I must take a different This will not get me any closer. Another success. I never doubted.
Certainly, officer. Madame is the one with the refined taste. Angeline and I are much more partial to a simple love.
Aren't we all? Romeo and Juliet.
I do enjoy it so. The passion, the romance. It gives me goosebumps.
Merci, mademoiselle. Your assist... Huh. Finally, it is unlocked.
What exactly do you think you're...
If I am to serve justice, I must be able to reach and...
The girl is guilty and shall pay the price for her crime. I shall see to that. If you wish to listen to her feeble attempts to explain herself, so be it.
Everyone deserves to tell their side of the story, whether a feeble... Mademoiselle Florette, I presume.
Please, officer.
I did nothing wrong. You can't take me away.
Please relax, my dear. If you have done nothing wrong, you have nothing to worry about. But it is my duty to investigate all avenues. Ah bon?
Relax. So you don't think I took the bracelet?
As of this moment, I cannot say. But answering my questions honestly will certainly help your case either way.
I didn't even know it was missing till I got accused of taking it. Madame was so angry. She wouldn't listen to me.
There must be some reasoning behind her accusation.
How could I have taken it? I've been in town most of the morning. I was even late coming back. Then I was preparing breakfast. Rihanna the cook is away, so I had to fetch breakfast for the house and prepare it all myself. How does she expect me to do that all on my own?
From what I understand of Madame van den Bosch, she would not have been best pleased you returned late for breakfast.
Not best pleased? I thought she was going to batter me to death with a baguette. I hid in the kitchen and then tried to stay out of sight in the lounge until breakfast was over. Didn't want to put my head near her jaws while she was still hungry.
Perhaps a brave move under the circumstances. And you did not go upstairs at all.
Madame was singeing a hole in the back of my apron with her glare. I daren't have moved. I was too scared to blink the wrong... I must just be slow, monsieur. My mother always said I, moved like the snail. Maybe I was just happy to be out of the house. I had a lot to do. I lost track of time. I wanted to prove to Madame I'm not the useless waif she thinks I am.
Merci. I shall take everything you have told me into consideration. Oh. Aha. Huh. Ah. Hmm. Oh. Come, my little grey cells. What a revelation! This will not get me any closer. Is there something? I must act on thought and I cannot see the logic in this. I must take a different approach. Order and method. That Come, my little grey cells. The pieces of the puzzle of... Order and method. Magnifique. What a The pieces of the puzzle. Magnifique. This will not get me any closer. Things are beginning to become...
Anything to show you. Yes, another thing on my to-do list. I'm afraid it's not in the same condition as when I picked it up.
At whose request?
It was a favor for Lizzie. I didn't mind having...
Merci. I shall take everything you have...
Really, officer, you are wasting... If you have something to ask, officer, I suggest you stop wasting my time further and just get on with it. And this is how she repays me? I will not... I am glad you have finally come to your senses and have seen her guilt. It is challenging at times, I will admit. But I can assure you the Van den Bosch name is as strong and prevalent as it has always been. I have tried my best to provide for Angeline, although sometimes she may not see it that way. She is not to know about what we have discussed. It is my burden to carry.
You are accepting the hand you have been dealt and raising a fine young mademoiselle. That is all that can be asked of you.
And you have done nothing but bother my staff and my family. I cannot stand here any longer and listen to this.
The longer you're here, the further the criminal will go. Maman is never happy with anything these days. Also, Florette does have a habit of not doing things exactly.
And how does she react when she sees Florette not doing...
Maman has the temperament of a kicked cat. Florette...
That is how she responded to that.
She was shouting at her, and when Florette would not admit she took the bracelet, Maman really lost her temper.
You have been of great help.
Certainly, officer. The lounge? A pack?
Oui, it is quite hard to miss.
Oh, how silly of me. I must have had my head in the clouds this morning. Besides the terrible rain? No. I woke, began my duties with Mademoiselle. I had already laid out a clean dress. I helped her into it and prepared her for the day before...
And the bracelet was still there when you left the room for breakfast?
I'm sure of it. I had it down before Mademoiselle... Why, yes, officer! I misplaced it after wiping a stain from Mademoiselle Angelieve's sleeve at breakfast. You are a great detective.
You are not the first to say. Had she not noticed it herself? I imagine...
It baffles me how she couldn't have. It was only luck that I spotted it before... Madame is under a great deal of strain. It can't have been easy for her to lose her husband.
And this morning, it sounds as though it was...
It's not the first time I have had to stand and watch such treatment. I hate to see it. As I said, Madame's scolding of Fleurette this morning was the worst I have seen her temper. I wish you could see that Fleurette...
Could there have been another reason for such...
Madame was not happy Fleurette was late. All through breakfast, Madame was watching her with a piercing eye. But she's still learning the way.
Merci, mademoiselle. You're... I should not be surprised by my own skills of deduction. Another success. Some would say a lucky guess. I must act on thought and fact. Is there something I am... I cannot see the logic in this. The pieces of the puzzle... Another success. I must take a different approach if I am to uncover... I must take a different approach. I cannot see the logic in it. I should not be surprised by my... What a Things are beginning to become...
Certainly, officer. How could I not be? I may not enjoy his other works, but how can one not be blown away by a story of...
Especially being able to draw similarities between Verona's star...
But I hadn't...
Mademoiselle, I am an officer of the law.
Please, you cannot say anything to Madame. She is against staff relationships of any kind. In her eye...
But he means so much more to you.
Oh, officer. At first, it was nothing more than pleasantries around the grounds. But that quickly changed. I know it's not proper for a young lady to pursue a gentleman.
Love transcends professional...
The mere thought of him was enough to make me blush. But I knew that Madame would never give her blessing. If we were... The summer evenings here are just so beautiful. I often find myself walking around the grounds after my daily duties. He looked ever so handsome. And the poem he had prepared, standing there beneath the warm glow of the falling sun. He asked for my hand. Oh, I'm sorry, officer. I've been chattering on for so long. You have much more pressing matter.
One should never apologize for such a charming and bewitching story of love. But you are correct. While the Merci, mademoiselle. Your assistance...
Anything to show you I didn't do it. And Madame... She never used to be such a witch. When the Viscount was alive, I would have gone long ago, monsieur. But my family can't afford for...
I was not aware you were supporting your family.
Papa lost his job at the factory just before he left for good. So Mama had to work even more. When I joined the Vandenbosch house, the Viscount was He gave me some extra in my first pay pack. Enough to keep the landlord from kicking Mama out, at least. No one had ever... He even let me to go home and visit Mama and my brothers at Christmas, with a food parcel from the kitchen. Mama said it's always been hard for her. Even before he left for good, Papa wasn't around much, and even when I walked in Mama's house, everything seemed so much smaller. I must have got too used to the size of this house.
The valuables in the house do not determine the love it...
Someone should tell Madame that. Not that she'd listen.
I will uncover the truth of what happened today, mademoiselle. Merci. I shall take everything you have told...
The longer you're here...
You have been... Huh. This will not get me any closer to my... I must act on thought and... Come, my little grey cells. Some would say a lucky guess.
Certainly, officer. You have found the culprit? And the bracelet?
Everything will be revealed in good time. Would you be so kind?
Of course.
Merci, Mademoiselle Elizabeth, for gathering everyone. Will Madame Van den Bosch be joining?
She stormed past me not long ago, and I have not seen her.
Very well. Under usual circumstances, I would wait. But I think we have spent enough time on this matter. This morning started like any other. My usual ordinary patrol. Until I was approached by...
A crime I've been falsely blamed.
That I shall come to. I began my investigation outside, but it was not long before I realized there were no signs of an intruder. Florette, your time here at the house has not always been the easiest.
I do what Madame tells me.
And to the highest standard, I presume.
Madame's standards are very high.
And you would at least expect fair treatment for the work. Not to be
Monsieur?
I refer to how poorly Madame Van den Bosch treats you. You are at her beck and call, and...
That is Maman you're talking about. Just wait until...
It is nothing but the truth I speak. All the while, Mademoiselle stands by and does not even notice such cruelty. That must... Perhaps you thought it was time they deserve...
Stop trying to put words in her...
I am merely giving her a voice. One that has been silenced for...
Maybe I do think she deserves it. She's had the world handed to her on a plate, and the likes of me get nothing.
A motive begins to read...
You're just trying to get me to admit to something.
Allow me to finish. I am sure you will want to hear what follows.
I was only trying to help Lizzie.
You must have known how Madame would have reacted to your late return, especially with her...
She's angry at whatever...
But nonetheless, you were willing to help a colleague, a friend. And that show of loyalty to your friend has been the thing that...
Monsieur?
Because of such willingness to help, you were delayed in town. You had no viable way of taking the bracelet from Mademoiselle Angeline's room.
I told you!
It is evidence not even she can ignore. Which then leads us... Mademoiselle Elizabeth, you have been with the Van den Bosch family for quite...
That is correct.
You have grown close with both ladies of the house and your fellow members.
Of course. And I certainly hope they feel the same.
You yourself told me Madame Van den Bosch would not stand for it, and...
Elizabeth? What is...
A love that is reminiscent of Romeo and Juliet. One...
If you don't stop, I will tell Maman. You can't speak to her like that.
It may be a tone you do not like, but it is no worse than your maman's ruling that...
I'm sorry. This isn't how I wanted you to find out. We couldn't risk Madame finding out. I don't know what.
What are you talking about, Elizabeth?
Luke and I...
Luke? The gardener?
For fear of Madame and her rule, and if neither of you had employment, there would be...
It was never our plan to go behind yours or Madame's back.
You two are to wed?
Yes. Well, no. Not today, as Officer Poirot suspects.
It is not always what one thinks, or how something may appear. Rather, where the evidence...
You can't believe I would hide my own bracelet. I have nothing to say. How dare you speak to me? You can't actually believe I would hide my own jewelry.
If you didn't, explain to me how your memento tin with the bracelet inside...
You have no proof I put it there.
Besides you being the only one in the room alone. Even after finding the bracelet, until I contemplated why Madame was selling so...
You had no right to snoop through our house in the first...
When it is part of my investigation, I have every right, mademoiselle. The unpaid bill.
Maman can do what she wants with her art. That means not.
But when there was no more art to sell, what then? You could not So, you staged a burglary pretending it had been taken, preventing her from selling it.
She didn't think about me at all. She was going to take my bracelet and sell it off. It would have just ended up on some old wrinkly wrist. I didn't think Maman would blame her. I didn't think she would do anything.
But she did. And somehow that evidently didn't cross your mind. When Madame returned...
Maman can't know what I have done. She will be...
But Mademoiselle Florette will be proved innocent. And no crime has been committed. So I see no reason. It is time you considered the consequences of your... And now, you must face them head on.
Maman, you're home.
Of course I am. And I've brought someone that will bring some...
Major, I can assure you, I have this situation.
From what I have heard, you are far from it.
The missing bracelet has been found, and the guilty party...
I am well aware that the maid-servant was behind it all. And
I am sure Madame Vandenbosch has informed you of her suspicions, but I'm afraid it was...
Excuse me?
After conducting a full investigation, the evidence...
I certainly hope you are...
I'm sorry, Maman. He's right. Florette is innocent. I just want...
Shh, girl. I will not have you guilted into... Perhaps it would benefit you to remember you are nothing...
Officer Poirot, a word. Madame Vandenbosch was forced to make her way to inform me, alone,
Major, with all due respect, she was impeding...
This may be how some officers act in the city, but here, we show insubordination like this one.
As the ranking officer, I have conducted my investigation.
Ranking officer? Ha! You are an auxiliary officer. You have little authority over anyone, let alone... After what I have heard of your past in the city, I'm sure he would look upon today's events as a...
Oui.
Now I suggest you do your duty and escort the maidservant to the station where she can be...
Right away. I'm sorry, mademoiselle. This is not the outcome.
Maman was right.
We will do everything we can to clear your name.
What can you do now? Madame said I'm guilty of
a crime that was never committed. Once the truth is explained...
Angeline did not intend for you to be arrested. Surely...
I should have known better than to expect anything else. Justice and...
What you saw today was not justice. In the eyes of the law, you are innocent and have been harshly...
But that doesn't help my employment, does it?
That I cannot save. But your freedom...
Detective Poirot, I trust this finds you well. It has been many years since our paths last crossed, and while I'm sure your recollection of the events may differ from mine, I hope that receiving this letter has not rekindled a sense of animosity toward myself or the Vandenbosch name. The impression you made is something that has stayed with me since that day. It compelled me to reconsider the spoilt young lady I would have inevitably become and helped shape me into the woman I wished to be. You made me see the childish and selfish girl in me that did not consider the consequences of her actions or how they may affect others. Although Maman may see the events of that day differently, I believe the compassion you showed for our mate Florette, as well as the drive to uncover the truth and accept no alternative, was a testament to your character and professionalism. Although I wish it were under different circumstances, your assistance is once again required, and I hope you will consider this as my formal request for your service. This forthcoming weekend was due to be one full of joy and happiness at the announcement of my engagement to Gideon Demire, whom I love dearly, bringing together two illustrious families, but it has been shadowed by deceit, extortion, and blackmail. The Van der Bosch name is being held to ransom by a mysterious party, and I am afraid I do not know who I can and cannot trust. We are holding a small gathering to celebrate our exciting news with what Maman calls the dignified elite, those that are well respected and held in high regard in both our close inner circle and society. Our private matters have always remained just that, so I fear one of those invited may be the person who is out to ruin our name, but for reasons I cannot fathom. I have enclosed a first-class rail ticket for you to join us for the announcement, and having contacted your superiors and the correct authorities to request your assistance, which they were more than happy to grant me, I shall expect your arrival with great anticipation. There shall be a carriage waiting for you at the station to bring you directly to Mnemosyne House. I thank you in advance in our time of crisis. Yours respectfully, Angeline van der Bosch.